We're
Yeah,
live.
we should try that again. Are we live?
We are live.
Woohoo!
Oh, hey there, everyone. Welcome to Why We Bust, the show that takes you to the Ghostbuster and finds out what makes them tick. My name is Bob, and I am your temporary host as Patrick is out with maternal leave right now as he is expecting his next child any day now. So happy delivery, Patrick. Safe baby, healthy baby, all that good stuff. We're excited for you, and we're excited to have you come back when you're ready. Until then, you are stuck with my pretty face and my beautiful voice. Alongside of me, as always, is the central nervous system of the Why We Bust podcast, the Oracle to by Batman, the uh, uh, geez, I don't know. You get the idea. Thanks. Hi, Norm. It's Norm, everybody.
Hi, Bob.
Hi,
How's it
Norm.
going?
How are you? Hey, Vix. How are you? Nice to see you in chat. What's up, Norm?
I'm great, thanks.
That's good. What's been going on?
Oh, not a whole lot that's interesting other than dealing with the Facebook taking down our page. So we have a temporary page up. If you're at all interested, just search for Windy City Ghostbusters, or excuse me, Windy City GB. Trying that for now to see if that'll help with the Facebook algorithms decapping me.
Yeah, it's been annoying. So Meta, fix our page because I'm this isn't funny. It's misery.
No, it's annoying.
Twice now.
This is third time.
Third time.
All right, and joining us this week is a Ghostbuster hailing from our home team, Windy City Ghostbusters. We have Joshua B. Moorcraft. Hello, Joshua. Nice to have you on Why We Bust.
Hello, Bob. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Of course. So how we start the show is I'm going to take you way back here, okay? The very beginning of the days. What was your first experience with Ghostbusters?
That would be in the 80s. When I was growing up, I watched the original Ghostbusters on cable television with my dad. He introduced me to Ghostbusters when I was a little kid, and I just got hooked from there and just kept watching all the movies as they came out when I got older. And then I found out there when I moved here to Chicago, when I was older, that you can become a Ghostbuster, and so I checked it out and decided to join you guys at the St. Patrick's Parade last year.
Excellent. So you're still
fairly new.
Fairly new, yeah, 100%, man. So what was it like growing up with Ghostbusters? Like, what attracted you to the franchise?
Just it seemed fun. They were the good guys. They were beating the evil, saving people. And the songs were really catchy too. So
what other
song.
fandoms were you into as a kid?
Like Mario Brothers, Batman, a lot of DC stuff, Superman. I watched a lot of cartoons. I really was big into Power Rangers when I was growing up. Started with Mighty Morphin, and then all the other little ones that spin off from that. And then the spin-offs from those, like Big Bad Beetleborgs. That was a fun one to watch. And then Mystic Knights of Tir na Nog. That was another one that came around during Mighty Morphin days. But anything like superhero, magic, mysticism, things like that, I was pretty drawn to.
Well, then Ghostbusters was a perfect fit for you. It's kind of anybody's introduction to both comedy, horror, and the occult. Anything in that kind of realm. So I would say it fit right in. Were you watching the real Ghostbusters cartoon while it was airing?
Yep, I caught mostly reruns, but I didn't see them live. No, but I did catch reruns on the show. Yeah.
What about Extreme Ghostbusters in the 90s?
Did not get a chance to see that one. No.
Okay, man, you're missing out. It's like the best form of Ghostbusters media.
I'll have to see if I can find it online somewhere.
That's the one with the gorilla, right?
Oh, I'm gonna kill you. That is, first off, you are clashing the finest of things. Extreme Ghostbusters is the finest form of Ghostbusters media. And then you're talking about my boy Tracy the Gorilla over there as if he's his joke. I'll have you know that is a ghost-busting gorilla. Thank you very much.
Ghostbusting gorilla. Nice.
But let me bring you forward with at least you and the fandom. So what was it like seeing things like Afterlife being announced for 20?
Oh, just total nostalgia trip. Like being like a little kid again. That had a lot of references to the OG movies that I watched as a kid. So it was very fun and very welcoming and exciting just to watch all the little tidbits in the movie that reminded me of the original movies.
What is your favorite Ghostbusters film out of the whole batch?
Oh gosh, I believe isn't 2 with Vigo, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Vigo. The one with Vigo was one of my. It has to be my favorite.
It is the finest one. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, sentient slime and bringing to life the Statue of Liberty with a positive song and just cheering everybody in the streets and beating the evil villain with positive energy is just it's a really good movie.
I'm excited to hear that. That's wonderful stuff. Because Ghostbusters 2 is my favorite as well. So good answers. We appreciate that.
That is the correct answer, as we've
That is the
Right?
correct answer, as we always say.
You know who you're talking to. This is Vigo.
Vigo, you're the buzzing of the flies. So it's just the better movie. I know that's a hot sore subject for a lot of Ghostbusters.
It's a good movie. It really is. I mean, yeah. I mean, watching dealing with Gozer and all that stuff and Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Yeah, that was a good one too. But I think of all of them, I would definitely fighting Vigo is it was just too good to pass up.
What is something? How do I say this? What, as an adult, keeps you liking the Ghostbusters fandom? As a kid, you're kind of drawn to the concepts of these good guys, bad guys, but now you're an adult and you understand story method a little bit different now. So what keeps you as a Ghostbusters fan in 2025?
I mean, I think I'm still drawn to Ghostbusters. One, for nostalgia's sake, because it reminds me of a simpler time, a more positive time in my life when I was a kid, growing up, seeing these good guys on screen. And now as an adult, I can be one of those people that I saw on the screen as a kid. Like I can be that person for some other kid. And so I've always wanted to be a Ghostbuster when I was a kid. When I was like, oh, one day I want to be a Ghostbuster. When you're like 5, 6, 7 years old, like, oh my gosh, I want to be a Ghostbuster and fight Slimer and catch Ghost and have a proton pack and a ghost trap. So as an adult, I'm a big kid with adult money.
Sure.
I can live out my childhood dream now that I'm an adult.
Now, there is an aspect of you being a Ghostbuster that I find really interesting, is you created your own persona as a Ghostbuster. And I know it relates to photography, which show off your patch.
There you go. The Windy City Spectral Photog.
So we're going to get into the idea of, let's start with the photography in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to really dig deep here. So photography means a whole lot to you.
Yes.
Is my assumption. So let's start with the photography aspect of your life. Where do you start taking pictures?
It actually started during COVID. So I'm a disabled vet, and so I was having issues during COVID, being confined to a house, my mind racing, nothing to do.
Sure.
And one of my therapists is like, hey, you need a hobby that you can do on your own in a safe way that will occupy your mind so that you don't start, oh, look at James's kitty, so cute. So that your brain won't start, spinning and freaking out. She's like, try some sort of art. So I've always been a creative person, like art, singing, theater. And so I always like to do things that are creative and artistic. So I was like, hey, let me try photography. because as a kid, my grandfather, OGs, he was a film photographer with one of those heavy metal Canon film cameras. He had piles and piles of film and photos and equipment, and so he's like, "Hey, here, try play with this." And then I was like, "Hey, let me try photography. It seems simple enough." So went on Amazon, bought a simple camera kit, and started taking pictures. And I started teaching myself how to do lighting and depth and perception, all just by watching YouTube University, basically. And then I just kept practicing and over. I went outside, take pictures of animals, buildings, people, flowers, a lot of flowers and buildings. And I started getting into people as the years went by. And then I moved here to Chicago from North Carolina in 2021. So I had a lot more things to photograph, moved here. So I started doing architecture, because Chicago buildings and architecture are just, gorgeous. I mean, you got that rustic feel of big city with the rusty train tracks and the big tall buildings. It's very New York-esque in a way. So it kind of, when I first went downtown Chicago, I was like, "Ooh, I'm in a big city like the movies, the movies I saw as a kid." And it just, you're awestruck by all the tall buildings and the architecture. So I started taking photos. I when I go downtown anytime, I take my camera with me, and if I'm inspired, I pop it out like, "Ooh, this looks really cool. Let me take a photo." So I have this thing where I can see the image in my head before I even take the picture. And I just create this whole story in my brain, and then I just make that story that I take come to life in my photos.
That's amazing. That's a good story. And so how does one transition from taking pictures of flowers to taking pictures of cosplayers? Because that's a bit of a
that's
jump.
a big leap. Yeah,
that's a big leap.
So 2022, a person told me, "Hey, you should check out this this Comic-Con type deal here in Chicago." So C2E2 in 2022, I attended my very first con, and I bought this cheap costume, something easy offline on Amazon. It's like, "Hey, let me put something on." Brought my camera down and just started, went there and was walking around seeing all these people dressed up in cosplay and costumes. Like, "Oh, that looks really, really cool. Hey, do you mind if I take a picture of you real quick?" I mean, to me, cosplay photography is just an extension of portrait work. Because your portraits, you're trying to capture the person's essence, their personality. So with cosplay, it's no different. You're trying to tell that person's story, and you're trying to capture the image that they're trying to portray as that person. Some of these cosplayers that I've met over the years, months and months and years on a costume, and they save it for these big shows to show off all their work, because they want to show off how much work they put into it, and because they like the fandom that they spend all that time on. And so I just started asking people at that first C2E2, like, "Hey, do you mind if I take a picture? Do you mind if I take a picture?" And the way I did it, my skill set improved as I just kept doing it. So I just kept taking photo after photo, going to show after show. And then in 2023, I applied to C2E2 to be to go there in Cosplay Central to have a little table. And then they reached out to me. It's like, "Hey, we'll give you this 20 by 30 booth in Cosplay Central if you agree to do stuff for us, like be a sponsor or a partner. Like, hey, take photos of this many people, let us use the photos," kind of thing, or give something away for free. So I started giving away 2 free shots in the booth. I was teaching people how to pose so that they're able to show off their costumes better. And it just progressed from there. I just kept going to shows, applying to be a partner, applying for a press pass. And that's all you do. You never know till you try. And I just kept going.
So from self-taught in 2020 to being an actual sponsored photographer at C2E2 in just a span of 3 years, 2-3 years, is incredible. You should be very proud of yourself in that regard.
Yeah, when they accepted my proposal, I was I was into complete and total complete and total shock. I'm like, really? Is it, you like my stuff? They're like, yeah, you're great. Oh, okay. But from 2020 to the 2023, during that time frame, I tried to legitimize my business and myself as much as I could to be more appealing to people professionally, because I was like, hey, this is fun. I want to keep doing this. I want to get better jobs. I want to get better opportunities. So what I did, I joined the LGBT Chamber of Commerce in North Carolina before I moved, and I got my as a veteran-owned business. So I got that, and then I got recognized as a nationally owned veteran business, and then I got nationally recognized as an LGBT-owned business. And those, at the time, those minority markers on my business pages or in my profile were open doors for me that normally wouldn't have been. So, and I mean, even before C2E2, I was given the chance, was it 2020? Yeah, 2023. Right after C2E2, I was a chance to shoot the NASCAR race that came to town too.
Well, that was amazing. That's a pretty cool jump too. What was it like shooting that?
I did it loud. Also, it was because my dad growing up was a master mechanic, so I was around cars constantly as a kid growing up in the South. And he because he was such a renowned mechanic, and he also taught mechanic at a community college, and so he made connections with the state and local people. So he became friends with NASCAR drivers, speedster races, cars, trucks, monster trucks. And so he's like, he would just reach out to people just to try to make connections. And that's where I got that from. I mean, all these shows and opportunities, they didn't find me. I found the page and like, hey, let me try. Couldn't hurt. So I filled the applications out and I was like, here's my link, here's my work. And then you wait. And then you get the emails like, oh, sorry, or yes, we'd like to, So I just try. I just like, it doesn't hurt to try and put yourself out there. And I just like, hey, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And a few times it's worked.
Sure.
Yeah, NASCAR was a lot of fun. I was literally, here's the cage, here's the track. I was right at the cage with my camera, headphones on, reflective gear, my camera pushed up against the fence and snapping these cars as they go by. It was a lot of fun.
Now back to cosplay photography for a few moments here. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite fandom to shoot? And you can't say Ghostbusters.
Actually, I don't see as many as you think. Favorite fandom. Okay. Anything fantasy, like Star Trek, Star Wars, Game of Thrones, video games. Like I get a lot of people that I have a lot of. I'm friends and honorary member of the 501st, so I always find Star Wars people to take photos of, like bounty hunters, Jedi, Sith, and one year I did a really cool Grievous. This dude was like straight up full on mechanical Grievous with the arms and everything. That was so cool to watch and take pictures of.
What is your dream photo shoot as a cosplay like scene?
My ultimate goal is cosplay photography, or dream would be to be a professional cosplayer's official photographer and travel with them to all the different Comic-Cons and just follow them around and take photos of all of their like highly professional, highly polished work at the different shows.
Sure.
That's my dream. Yeah.
So set up your favorite scene though. Like for me, my dream has always been the 1-1 Temple of Gozer and having me and my friends staggered up on the stairs, for shots. I've been proposing that for 9 years.
The Temple of Gozer.
Forever. Right? I always wanted a 1-1 Temple of Gozer just to kind of, even if it was built out of foam, I don't know. It's just something I've always wanted.
The smoke and the lights and
exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's me though. What is yours?
So I would ultimately like to be in a warehouse type studio where I could turn it into a scene, like a planet or a forest or a temple, and have all the fancy smoke and everything, and just make you feel like you're there with the character that's part of that world. So like a big fancy Hollywood setup basically would be the ultimate cosplay shoot for me. with professional props and lights and smoke and makeup artists. Like that is that would be my thing for sure.
What is your most memorable cosplay photo you've ever taken that will stand out to you as like that's your magnum opus, or maybe you haven't taken it yet?
So, a standout photo moment at a convention for cosplay was last year at Indiana Comic-Con. It was my first time attending. Got a press pass. I got early access to the floor, and so I was just walking around seeing who's going to be the artists, the famous people, whatever. And I happened to see a picture of Uncle Iroh on one of the tables. I'm like, oh my gosh, Iroh. Oh, and I walk up, and his helper is setting up his table, and we're just sitting there talking, having a good old time, waiting for the actor to show up. And then, next thing I think, behind me in a full-on Iroh voice, we know, hello, my friends. I freeze. I just freeze. And, the guy who voiced Uncle Iroh 2.0, not the original voice, sadly, that actor died. But the 2.0 voice, Bill, was it Bill? Greg. Greg, oh gosh, can't think of his name. But anyway, he comes up behind us and, puts his hand on my shoulder. Hello, my friend. And I my soul left my body, and we struck up a conversation for like half an hour while he was setting up. And I was like, hey, by the way, I'm a photographer. If you need anything while you're here, I didn't think he'd say yes. He's like, hey, yeah, I kind of need new photos for my new signs for the next few years. I'm like, I couldn't speak. I really couldn't. And then so we waited till the end of the con, and when everybody was leaving and everything, we went upstairs to where the glass ceiling is and nice light, and I took shots for him and headshots for his media. So that'd be my standout moment so far.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was. I did not expect that to happen at all.
I'm at a lot of cons. Specifically, I'm at a lot of anime shows. Next time I see him at a show, I'm gonna look at his banner and I'm gonna be like, I know the dude who took these.
Well, I don't know if he's used them yet. I have to wait till I see him again. It's up to because he gave them to his. He saw them and then he gave them to his agent. So it's up to his agent when they use them. So fingers crossed, sure. I'll see them one day. So that would be one of my standout moments. And then C2E2 last year, I got to meet the voices of the X-Men. And wow. I made friends. So my deal is when I have a floor pass, like early access, I've learned to make friends with the handlers of the stars, the handlers. Yeah. And if you do that and you're nice to the handlers, you can get pretty much almost anything if you look professional. And towards the end of the show on the Sunday, I was like, hey, do you think they'd want a group photo together? And she's like, yeah, I'll talk to them. So I got to the actors who play Beast, Wolverine, Storm, Gambit, all the OGs. I got to take a big group shot of at C2 last year.
That had to have been really cool.
That was so fun. That was the lady who plays Storm is just the sweetest little old Southern lady, basically. So yeah, just by putting myself out there, I've stumbled into opportunities as a cosplay photographer that I don't think I would have otherwise had I not started doing it.
So Ghostbusters, how does one become a Ghostbuster in your world? Because you're taking all these pictures of all these things, you're seeing, fandom cosplay groups that I probably don't even know exist.
There's a lot.
But yet here you are as a Ghostbuster. And so my question is, why did that become a thing for you?
I saw them at I think it was I saw you guys at a fan expo one year that I was walking around, and I one of my friends in the 501st, Jacob, who does the Ecto Ranger.
Yeah.
Yep. He's like, hey, you should get an outfit and join me over in Ghostbusters. I'm like, all right, sure. So he introduced me to Ghostbusters. He's like, hey, you should join us. And then he introduced me to Webbs, and Webbs introduced me to so forth and so on. And then my first time was at that South Side
Irish Parade.
Irish Parade. Mm-hmm, yeah.
That's great. I'm excited to hear that's how it happened. We love Jacob, so he's a good
Yeah,
cat.
he's a hoot and a half, that's for sure.
Yes, we keep him around. We like him a lot. So, what's been your experiences so far being a Ghostbuster? Are you enjoying the fandom? Are you enjoying the flight suit and doing all of that jazz?
Yeah, so I started out with the khaki flight suit, originally the OG flight suit, and then I started adding things. I bought an engineer suit, style suit, and I've created an engineer character. That's where the Spectral Photog came to life, is through the engineering division. I was like, hey, if I'm with the engineering division, I'll take pictures of all the items we collect or whatever. So I was like, hey, this works with photo and Ghostbusters. And then being a Ghostbuster, part of the Windy City Ghostbusters, I got to experience working with the Children's Hospital at La Rabida. And then I got an opportunity to go visit the Shriners Hospital. So I've had opportunities to help kids be happy and feel better about themselves as a Ghostbusters. And that's been really enjoyable to do as well.
Sure. What is excuse me, sorry guys. What's been an experience being a Ghostbuster that you won't forget?
The first time at La Rabida, this little kid comes up to us, very shy at first, and then I was like, "Hey, come on!" And I made stickers to bring with me that day, and a friend of mine who has 3D printer made little Slimer, glow in the dark Slimers for me. So so I was like, "Hey, you want a sticker? You want a Slimer?" And then he went from being this sad, shy, just so I kneel down so he doesn't feel scared of me, and he just walks up. I was like, I hand him a sticker, and he hand him a little Slimer, and he just lights up. So just to see that kid go from being shy and sad to being happy and lit up because just something as simple as they met a Ghostbuster and gave him a sticker and a little toy. That was just a lot of fun to do for me because I've never had that chance before.
That's great. What's what I'm going to put you on the spot here because you're doing photos for both organizations now. What's the group that you've been like doing photos for that you're finding more like, I don't want to say the word fun because it's probably fun for both, but what's one that you got to experiment more with and that you kind of get to flourish in, or what's something you would like to do with one of the fandoms that you haven't seen done yet?
Well, when it comes to, I'm part of several now. I'm part of.
Oh, sure. My apologies.
Yeah, part of Ghostbusters with Windy City. I recently started officially joining with the 501st Midwest Garrison for Star Wars. I'm in the process of making my outfit for that, and the Dark Empire, Saber Guild, and the little snippets that flush off that. I've had a really cool opportunity with that with the 501st. In the fact that they have little prop setups at their shows.
Yeah.
And so I've been able to, create scenes with characters that I normally wouldn't get to normally. And then I also get to occasionally famous people will come up that are Star Wars actors that I've had a chance to photograph with them with the 501st. So that's been fun. My goal with us, the Ghostbusters, is to do like this whole outside setup with the an ectomobile, kind of the OG ectomobile, smoke, and all of us walking through the smoke and lights, and and just get like these cool action shots of people either in the ecto or next to the ecto, and then later on I can add in like a Slimer floating around or something too. So I've had more opportunities for neat shots so far with Star Wars fandom because of the different props and whatnot. And I'm hoping to get more opportunities with props and cars and things with the Ghostbusters.
That's great. What is your favorite prop so far that you found in the Ghostbusters hobby outside of your camera?
Pukey. Jacob's Pukey. It's just so cute. It's so funny.
It's adorable.
It's just this big booger. It's this big booger. Just stands there with his mouth open. That has been one of my favorites so far. And then of course, the standard dancing toaster has been cool too. and then to see all these different ectos that I've got to see as being in our parades or our events that people bring. I get to see the details they've put into them.
It's great. What is, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this question. What's it like taking pictures of any cosplayer? Like, what does that mean to you when you do these photos?
So I like to help people come out of their shell, because
Sure.
even though these people spend this time in these costumes, they're still really shy about it because they feel like they're being judged. I mean, I still feel that way when I walk in with my Ghostbuster outfits or any cosplay I have. When you're walking in onto a con floor or any cosplay event, you get this internalized, like, is it good enough? Is it good enough? Are people going to like it? Are people going to make fun of me? That kind of thing. So with cosplayers and me having that camera around my neck or my shoulder, I find that people tend to be a little more receptive to talking to me because they see the camera. And also that helps me feel less shy when I have the camera on my neck, almost like a security blanket, I guess a force field or whatever you want to call it, to help me be more open with people. And I like to help people show off their outfit they made, to feel comfortable in it, to look their best. I was like, hey, you're dressed as so-and-so, pose or act like that character would in this particular scene or scenario. And I get them to slowly open up and become the person they're dressed as. And the photos just end up turning out, better than they would have had they just stood there and posed. So I like to be able to help cosplayers tell their story, as well as the character that they're dressed as. That's my thing, is telling people stories.
That's great. What is a fandom costume or cosplay that you feel like does not have enough representation?
Oh gosh, that is a tough one. Not enough. There's so many.
Like, who's the underdog that you want to start seeing being more cosplay as? And it could be either a specific character, or it could be in a fandom in general.
I think the OG Aquaman doesn't get enough love. Like you see, because Aquaman, he just talks to fish. But you see the more modern Aquaman from the movies and things like that. Jason Momoa Aquaman, you see a lot of that at cons. But you don't see, Justice League of America, Aquaman.
It's funny you say that. My second cosplay ever was Justice League Aquaman. It's funny you say that.
He gets a bad rap. Oh, he rides a seahorse and he talks to fish.
Yeah, until you read like the Grant Morrison run and you find out that he can control water in your brain too, and
yeah. So
that fish man becomes a lot more dangerous.
The OG Aquaman doesn't get enough love. He really doesn't.
All right, folks, you heard it here first. Our photographer here thinks there needs to be some more OG Aquaman love, so that is going to be the new popular cosplay of 2025. We're calling it here. It's a trend set now.
Justice League Aquaman. What's that, James?
Windy City Aquaman.
There you go. Windy City Aquaman. That's what we need. We have a Doctor Doom that's really, really good that I've seen walk around at the cons, and they're obviously there's a really good Thor. So Grant from League of Enchantment. He is a super amazing Thor. Like oh my gosh. So there's some really good ones you can pick out of a crowd easily in the Windy City. So hopefully there'll be an Aquaman that we can pick out easily at conventions now.
Just because you said it. That's what we're looking for.
So come C2E2 this year. I expect to see some OG Aquaman on the floor.
Just because of why we bust. You're going to seek out Joshua. Do you have a booth this year at C2E2?
No, I'll be hanging out with the Star Wars group this year.
Sounds good. So what you're going to do, OG Aquaman, is you're going to go into the 501st booth and you're going to find Joshua and you're going to be like, Hello.
Here I am.
And then that's going to be the fastest you've ever seen this guy grab his camera and just run and charge. And
We
be
must
like,
go to the water fountains now.
come to this water. Let me splash some. Oh my goodness.
We must run to the water feature. Post haste.
Post haste, come to those fountains. You know, those
That's
fountains
right.
only shoot up a tiny stream. That's fine. I'll fix it in post.
I'll fix it in post. We'll make, dolphins jump out of the water or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
So, one of the more popular questions that I'm supposed to ask on Why We Bust is, do you own a proton pack?
I sadly do not.
Okay. If you did own a proton pack, what would the name be of your proton pack?
Oh gosh. First thing pops in my head would be Betty.
Betty.
Mm-hmm. Good old reliable Betty.
Okay, well now when you get your first pack, you'll name it Betty.
There we go.
See, Norm, there you go. Are you happy I got the...
Yes, I'm
Got the
glad you
question.
remembered to do that. I appreciate
Well, I mean,
it a lot.
because I loved watching reruns of Betty Boop cartoons, so it just stuck in my head, Betty.
By the way, thank you so much for the follow, JetGirl747. Yeah, JetGirl747 followed the channel on Twitch, so thank you for the follow. And hello to you, Theater Girl 79 on Twitch as well.
How many do we have watching us tonight?
It is there's a number. I don't like to share that because
okay, gotcha.
You know, that's important. And then somebody says now they have Black Betty stuck in their head.
Oh yeah, Black Betty Bamoramo. No, I haven't.
It's going to be an infection.
It's an earwig. It's there. It's stuck. We're infected with Betty now.
Oh, it's Jessica. Ha. Now I understand her name. Jessica from Windy City. Does that make sense? Because you get it works with airplanes. But it's, I understand.
Ginger,
okay,
yes,
that makes sense.
Okay, Ginger. Yes, I love her.
All right. So that's my question was on your proton pack. I would call it Betty.
Definitely.
So I guess your big piece of gear is your camera. Now, does your camera have a name?
No, I actually never named my camera. I've never named my camera. I never have.
Well, now you got to name it. I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh gosh, name my camera. It's a workhorse. So, oh gosh, it's definitely a workhorse. Takes a lick and keeps on ticking.
Its name is Camera McCamerick Face.
Truly, that is the most inspired
Camera McCamera Face. All right.
No,
trying to think of a really strong, like a Budweiser type workhorse name. Goodness gracious. I mean, Bubba would be appropriate for a workhorse.
All right, Bubba it is. Your camera is now known as Bubba.
Hey, Big Bubba, there we go.
Folks, I want you to tell you this is exhilarating conversation right here when I make somebody name their camera on the spot. This is the things that you...
Cam E-Lens.
Cam E-Lens. Oh, that's pretty darn good.
We're almost giving our equipment drag names now. That's great.
Actually, I think Cam R Lens might.
Cam
R
R
Lens.
Oh,
yeah.
That's pretty good too.
Mm-hmm.
That's
a good one.
Good job, Norm. You and the gold star of the day
Cam
on creativity.
Well, I'm just taking.
No.
Oh,
here's a good one. Sir Linsington the First.
My word. Theater Girl said she'll give you that one, Norm.
All right.
That's fine. I feel like I didn't really earn it. I just touched it up a little bit.
Ducky approves of Cam R Lens.
Nice.
So real quick, everybody, this is the part of the show where I do a shameless plug because I can and nobody can tell me any different.
And muted.
And muted.
And
muted. Folks, right after this show, you guys can bounce on over to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/BobAfterDarkPlays. I'm going to be playing Hunter the Reckoning, which is an old school monster hunting video game from the PS2 era. I'll be playing the GameCube version of it, and you guys are welcome to hop on over to my channel right after this. So that's something you can do.
Sounds good.
Jet Girl, it would not be the first time Bob accidentally turned off the podcast.
Just to turn off the. I did that for Steve's episode. I still feel bad about that. Like, because I had to leave early, right? Which is what I have to do on my Mondays because I have a stream right after this. And so whenever I usually get involved with Why We Bust, I have to do it quicker than what Patrick would do because I have another obligation. And the one time I had something where I had to go like immediately. And when I left, I ended the stream. I didn't leave studio. And so Steve's in the middle of talking and I clicked end stream and I'm like, why do I still hear Steve talking? Oh, and then that was the fastest I've ever said. And Norm goes, Bob ends the stream. He dips out to go make the next call. That is such a hard episode to edit, I want you to know. I still haven't finished it because of that gap.
Got to cut out the cutoff.
Right. You were watching when it happened. That's wonderful. Don't hit the off button. I will not hit the off button, Jet. I promise.
Oh, speaking of shameless plugs, I have these available for anybody.
Oh, yes, please. Shameless plugs all you can for the little bit longer we got left of the show. You're welcome to plug all
It's
away.
Fully 100% embroidered. Made. I designed it in Canva. It took me a few hours, and then I had it sent off and made by the Chicago Embroidery Company. They're really good. And yeah, so if you like them, $10.
And where can people find that at?
Just message me on Facebook.
I have a need for that badge. Well, now you have somebody that would like it. So how do people find you, Joshua?
So Facebook, you can just find me under Joshua Bindewald-Moore. I can type that in the chat too if you need me to. And I'm set to private, but just add me and I'll add you and we can message each other.
Do you have a Facebook page for your photography that people can look at?
I do. I mostly post on Instagram, but
well, whatever you have, it doesn't have to be Facebook.
Yeah, Instagram is Moorcroft Photog, so Moor as it's spelled right here on the screen, and just add Photog after that, one word, Moorcroft Photog on Instagram, and there you can see various pieces of my work, and also you can see my Facebook connected from there as well at my website. So you can message me on Instagram or Facebook or wherever, and we'll set it up to get you one. I've already mailed out quite a few.
Patches go quick. Behind my backdrop is my Ghostbusters patch collection, which sits at about 100 and what's the number? 120 something. So I have a lot of Ghostbuster patches. I get how that could be.
Yeah. I printed I got 50 of them printed, and I'm down to like 40 so far.
All right, so we still have a couple minutes left in the stream before I hand it off to Norm to come raid me so I can go start mine.
Start your gaming stream.
Yes, I'll go start my next stream. Is there something that we didn't cover tonight that you would like to talk about? Because I know the photography is the big important one. But is there something about Joshua that makes you tick and that I didn't cover that you would like to discuss?
Oh,
like what's an interesting fact about you?
Like I said, some people know or some people don't that I'm a disabled military vet. I was in the Navy submarines for a couple of years before I got injured and got discharged.
Well, thank you for your service.
Oh yes, no problem. You're welcome. Oh gosh, interesting fact. I guess some odd random fact is I got to sit in the original Gravedigger monster truck when I was a kid.
Look, in the 90s, that would have been the greatest thing. Was this one in the 90s? Because I wasn't even into like that realm, and I even know what that is.
Yeah, so my dad, with his mechanic connections, he knew the owner of the truck and the driver, and he got them to come visit the dealership he was working at one year, and I got to sit in the driver's seat of Gravedigger.
That's amazing. So I got to ask a couple more questions for you before we call it here. What is your favorite? Okay. what is your favorite pose that you like to have people do for your photography? And I know that depends on the character and stuff,
Yeah.
but like, what is the most iconic pose for a costumer that you could think of?
So I start with the iconic either villain or hero, the quintessential hero pose, the hand up in the air, or the guns blazing kind of thing, like you would see at a gamer idol screen, basically the standard hero or villain pose, depending on what they're wearing. That's my go-to to start with. Like, hey, strike that hero or villain pose, and just to start them off to get them comfortable, and then we go into something more, show me angry, go through the emotions that are related to that character. But I start off with the quintessential hero or villain pose.
What if you don't know the character?
I look it up.
That's fair. So when you're we'll just call it free roaming for lack of a better term. If you're free roaming a con and you're looking to take con photos, you're going to stop things that are recognizable, or if they're not recognizable, they're, I don't want to use the term generic, but they're just generically cool.
Yes.
Like I may not know something about Warhammer, 40K, but if I see one of the big dudes walking around in the armor and stuff, I'm going to be like, that looks kind of cool. And usually you can rely on them to take their own pose. But if you have a booth and you have a customer that wants to come up and take pictures, but you don't know who the character is, you got to look it up real quick, huh?
Pretty much. I've only had a few obscure people come up to a booth. I haven't had anybody too random. And typically my booths are pre-reserved, so I have a little bit of warning, so I can look it up beforehand.
Oh, sure.
But the random floor shots when I'm roaming, I typically go for the named people that I know of first off.
Oh, okay.
Like if I know that character, and then I'll go for that looks cool. Who is that kind of thing? So I'll start with the ones I know, and then I'll and then I'll work my way through the ones I don't recognize, but I think look really cool.
Now, I do have one more question for you, Joshua, and that is, why do you bust?
Why do I bust? So I can be cliche and say busting makes me feel good.
You can do that. We've had people give that answer, and it's a valid answer. However,
it's valid on several levels. Yeah, I like a good story.
You have a good story. You already told me this, so I need to know, why do you bust?
Because it lets me live my childhood. It lets me live that childhood fantasy I had of being a real Ghostbuster. I like the fun that I have. I like the experiences that I have. I like the people that I get to meet, kids, adults, other Ghostbusters. I mean, because I get to see all this time and investment that people put into being a Ghostbuster. Proton packs, especially. Oh my goodness! I mean, Shannon alone has.
Shannon is a mad scientist.
Shannon is the living embodiment of Holtzman.
Oh, 100%. There's
no question.
It is Jillian Holtzman walked off the camera screen, and now she's a member of Windy City Ghostbusters.
That's honestly, I mean, Shannon is the Holtzman, and
100%.
All of Shannon's stuff is just always top notch, over the top, lights, gizmos, whiz bangs, whistles, everything. It's just, I wish I had that skill.
Joshua, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come be a part of Why We Bust.
Yeah, my pleasure. Not a problem.
Before we let you go, let us get that plug one more time. And after the show, make sure you type it out to us in chat so I have it.
Okay.
And then that way I could throw it in the show notes. So people listening in podcast land, at the bottom of the show notes are going to be Joshua's Instagram link. Go follow him there. So what would that be? One more time.
So Instagram, my username on Instagram is Moorcroft Photog. So MoorCroftPhotog is my Instagram. And from there, you'll find my Facebook and website and everything too. And just message me there if you want a patch or something. Just a new Photog patch.
What is your next con, C2E2?
Yes, that I will be doing lightsaber demonstrations.
That sounds fun.
Yep. So when I being my theater background, they're like,
Oh,
"Hey,
sure.
help us choreograph lightsaber fights for C2." Okay.
I mean, that's a really cool favor. You know, most of the favors I get are, Bob, here, hold this. Or in Norm's case, Bob, please don't hold anything and step far away as I work on this project.
Yes, very much so.
That's an amazing thing. When I said, "Hey, do you have something interesting to talk
It
about?"
just popped in my head when
It
you
just
asked about
popped in there.
shows. It just popped
Pop
in
in
there.
there.
Norm, do you have any closing statements for Joshua here?
No, I mean, yeah, I don't really have anything.
You can say thank
Norm
you.
is speechless. Uh-oh.
I am speechless. I'm in awe.
No, he says thank you in his own way.
Well, actually, I do help Norm because I'm on SOCOM now, so I get to help
Yeah,
Norm out
he
quite a
does
bit.
help
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, remember that time when I was like, "Hey, do you have something interesting you want to talk about?" You could have. I was leaning towards, "Hey, I'm
I'm
a member of
sorry.
the social media."
My brain is so full of information. I apologize.
I'm just picking on you, Joshua. Folks, thanks for watching and listening to another episode of Why We Bust. We will see you again next week with a new Ghostbuster. And we'll see you then. Remember to hop on over to my Twitch channel after this. Have a good night, everybody. And this is Bob signing out saying... You could end the stream at any point.